At 6:02, we'll begin. We have a long discussion today. Thank you everyone for joining in, and welcome everyone to this very interesting session on digital marketing, whether it is an important thing or needed or not needed, and how we can go about it. So we'll discuss all facets, whatever you all have queries, we all can discuss with all the experts who are around. And let me introduce one by one the panelists for today's session. First of all, I will go in the sequence of our PRM batches. Okay, so I think our panelist Ashish Athawale is from PRM 11. He's the CEO of Compazz Consulting. He's actually into brand management, but we have invited him today for this panel discussion because everything that we are doing in terms of marketing, in terms of creatives, in terms of creating content or doing any kind of digital marketing, everything ultimately leads to brand management. So we would like to hear his perspectives on how things work in this world and how we can use the creatives and whatever we are doing to basically enhance our brand. That is the ultimate objective of listening to Ashish sir. Then we have Rajesh Sinha sir. He's from PRM 16. He's the former CEO of BSCE Agri Markets, and currently he has joined Sahyadri Farms as a post-harvest, basically an expert in the kind of a digital B2B market space. And he has also at BSCE Agri Markets, he has been the pioneer in basically doing online marketplaces for agri space. And we would hear from him how he has basically implemented a lot of digital activities. See, when we say digital marketing, it is not only about, doing marketing. It's a lot about how you make your website or how you present it to the customers, how customers interact on the website. The entire thing actually comes into, Ashish sir, you can correct me if I'm wrong.
Not yet.
Okay. So everything basically comes into that, and Rajesh sir will be able to give us a very broad perspective or a deep perspective also, along with sharing his experiences on how he has basically implemented it in his firm. And then because Professor Ashish Arghade is pretty young to most of our seniors here, that's why I've taken him next. Ashish sir is a faculty at IRMA, and he has very good corporate experience as well. So he's not only a theoretical practitioner, he's a practitioner as well. He has worked with JK Agri Genetics, NCDEX, and now he's at IRMA. He is here to share his knowledge and whatever experience he has in the digital marketing space. Because he is the one who teaches digital marketing at IRMA. So it was very exciting for me to have him here, because he will be able to give us a lot of things, whatever we miss out on, little things that, everything. There are so many facets in digital marketing. So he'll be able to give us a little more idea on that. And then we have one very interesting person with us today, Damini. Damini is from PRM 38, and she works with Paytm First Games on their product growth. And she also incorporates a lot of digital activities and marketing activities in her work space and profile. So once again, I welcome all of you, and IA is very happy to have you all on the panel today. And thank you to all the participants and audience. I would now like to begin with Ashish sir, Ashish Athawale sir. I would like to ask Ashish sir, how basically do you think we can use digital marketing as a tool in creating brands, and what is the importance and your experience, sir?
Thank you so much. Thanks for including me in this. Actually, I don't feel that I'm the most worthy person. In fact, Premjit Sodhi, I remembered later, Premjit Sodhi could have been a better person, or maybe even Shabir Haider. So anyway, be that as it may. My understanding, like I mentioned it to a few of my friends, I belong to the brand management discipline. Digital marketing is one of the tools that any brand management professional will use or should use to reach its goal. To me, it's more important to first understand brand. What is your brand? Who's your brand? Why is that all the 5 W's in one edge? about the brand. And digital marketing is, like I'm insisting again and again, it is one of the tools to reach that goal. To me, because I mean, pardon me, I'm like my introduction by Richie said, I'm a dinosaur, born, brought up in the traditional marketing era. But what I know for sure is that brand and consumer behavior remains the only true. Rest of it are more transactional. It depends on how you use it. So last few years, what my observation has been that digital marketing seems to be in all its glory, social marketing, search, everything put together. That seems to be the be all and end all for everything, is what my perception is. If that being true, I'm afraid that's not a very good situation to be in, because digital, all said and done, is one of the tools, again and again, I'll repeat, to reach that goal that you would want your brand to be. I think the biggest example, or rather advantage of digital marketing in any facet, is the reach that it provides, and to a certain extent, the how should I say, traceability or the accountability, or how you can measure, or rather measurability of your initiative. These are the two advantages of digital marketing, if you ask me. From a brand management perspective, the downside of digital, the way at least it has been seen to be practiced, to me, is it is transactional. Large amount of it seems to be transactional. Yes, all said and done, every initiative in business should translate to sales and money and volume and whatever else that your matrices be. But frankly, that can't be the end, because finally you are talking about a brand, and brand is supposed to create a preference, and more importantly, it's supposed to create a premium. These are the two P's that I have always mentioned it to my clients, that these are the payoffs of your brand: create premium and create preference. Now, create preference is what digital can help you do that if your digital marketing basics are right. But that too, if you are connected to online environment, unfortunately, there is a lot of physical marketplace which is still in the place. I mean, in a country like India, I've got few figures, as and when need be, I will mention those figures, just so that anybody, how many e-commerce buyers are there in India today? Anybody? Just a guess. E-commerce buyers, people who buy on e-commerce. From what I understand from various sources that I have gathered this information from, use the figures as bought at least once in last 6 months. If that being the criteria, how many e-commerce buyers? Because in our world, I mean, the people who are there on these different windows, it seems that everybody buys everything on e-commerce. I mean, what are these shops all about? Who goes to shops? That seems to be, and that's pretty much true. That perception is pretty much true for many of my clients, and I think large number. 35 million is one of the answers that I've got. Any other guesses? Any other guesses? How many people? I mean, 30 crores, 35 crores, right? For the want of time, I do not want to get into this guess game for a longer time. 2021 figures, and these figures that I will be quoting quite often are from various credible sources like IRMA and Kantar and many other researchers, and some of the published data in Economic Times, Financial Times, and more of it from Desi Dehati, because that's how I am. So Indian newspapers and so on and so forth. I am not getting into the buzz of the world as of now. 19 crores, 19 crore e-commerce buyers supposed to be as of 2021. All right, in a 135 crore population, you're talking about 19 crores, where mobile penetration is supposed to have reached upwards of 70 odd, within which, if you want to be ready for a surprise, how many smartphone users would there be out of these 135 crore population with over 70-80% mobile phone reach? How many of smartphone users? Again, guess. Others, if you will, smartphone users or smartphone owners, whatever. Any guesses? Everybody has a mobile in hand. Wonderful. Sandeep Yadav says 50 crores, 60 crores, 100 crores. Wow, Balaji, you hit the bullseye. No, sorry, you haven't. Yeah, Sandeep Yadav was closer to it. Again, published figures, 45 crore smartphone users, out of which, remember, again, join the dots, 19 crore e-commerce buyers at least once in last 6 months. Okay. The point that I'm trying to make here is that it is one of the tools. Use it to your advantage. Define a role for that tool like you would define a role for every other tool. Don't get overawed by, oh God, everybody has a mobile in hand, everywhere there's social media. Please, define, depending on what your understanding of the category is, what your understanding of the consumer is, what your understanding of the competition is, and what is the need of the hour. Please define a role for digital marketing. Don't get overawed by it. And yes, there are mechanics of digital marketing which I'm not expert in, like your CPRs and CPFs and things like that. Maybe somebody else can talk about it. But yeah, that's my overall view. Since you had asked.
Wow. Yeah, that's an excellent way to begin this discussion. We generally feel that digital marketing is all over the place, and that's the only way we should kind of focus. But yes, there are other places too, and we should not forget them. Thank you, sir. So I'll come to Professor Ashish now. Professor Ashish, please tell us what is the importance of digital marketing in building businesses, and how do you advise people on working on digital marketing? Which parts of digital marketing? Because now you know the entire portfolio of digital marketing tools that are available. So please share some inputs on that.
Okay, so the first one is the first part of your question was like which are the tools available or which businesses should get into e-commerce?
Okay. Yeah, both.
Now the point is, again, I would say it's a strategic decision of a business whether to choose the digital platform or ignore the digital platform. All said and done, it requires investments, it requires a lot of effort and a thorough understanding of the process. And since it requires all these kind of inputs, I would say it's a strategic choice that an organization makes. Let us look at one example. In a country like India and a product category like furniture, did we ever assume that something like Pepperfry would come up and be successful enough to sell furniture online in India? A market which is dominated by largely the unorganized sector, your local carpenter would be manufacturing. And today we have this unique idea which suddenly is like totally transforming not entirely transforming, but bringing in a different perspective with hardly any physical presence. Now that doesn't mean the physical presence is just not required. We again have this concept of what is called omni-channel marketing coming up. So you need the physical channel, you need the online channel. For the simple reason, the very basic, again, why digital marketing? Because the customer is present online. Just as Athawale sir mentioned, the numbers, people owning smart. Yeah, 2021 or 2022. Now, for a huge country like India, yes, the proportion of people owning a smartphone or making transactions online might be very small as compared to the total population. But if you look at the propensity of payments happening online or the number of transactions happening online, we apparently present a very bright picture. But again, let us not forget that this is still a very small proportion of the population, which invariably means as the smartphone penetration increases. Now again, we are only talking about smartphone, but many transactions also happen to other devices. So internet penetration matters more than perhaps the device. The smartphone is essentially a much more cheaper way of being online. for the simple matter that unlike a computer or a laptop, it comes at a fraction of the cost. You pay around, I think the lowest smartphone price would be in the range of 7,000 to 8,000 rupees, and that makes it more possible for consumers to come online. And wherever my consumers are, as a marketer, I need to be there, and therefore online. Now, again, as I said, it's a strategic choice whether I should be present online or should I have a mix of both. Yeah, perhaps there are indications that it's not entirely online, it cannot be entirely offline, and we need a mix of both. And therefore, we have established players like Amazon opening stores, and again, companies which were totally offline now having their own online channels. So it's a strategic choice, and one needs to actually understand the crux is how do you link the offline and online together. Because the consumer journey is a set of micro moments. We call these micro moments because I suddenly get an idea and I perhaps see a billboard somewhere. I take my mobile out and start looking for that information. So these micro moments, where does my journey start and how does it lead to a conclusion, which is a sale from a marketer's perspective? It's very difficult to have been able to connect these dots. Otherwise, it's a very complicated journey with several breaks in between, and therefore you need to be present with the consumer both offline and online. Now, if you look at the different tools available, yes, we have something as simple as or the most basic version, which is the search engines like Google. So normally when I teach the course, I look at the search engine marketing or search engine operation, search engine optimization, then social media marketing, affiliate marketing. Largely, I would say we have to see a large domain: search engine optimization or search engine marketing, affiliate marketing, and social media marketing. Now, each of the three, again, when I use the term marketing, I use it in a very, very broad sense. Not every activity that we take up on these platforms is necessarily going to lead to sales. It's only about connecting or taking the customer through the entire journey from developing that interest to generating that first idea, which is called ZMOD, zero moment of truth, and finally when the sale actually happens. So this is how the entire journey has to be shaped, and each option or each of these tools has an important role to play. How do affiliates help? How does your website help? How does social media help? Now, each of these three platforms or these three channels have their own independent, rather not independent, but own and integrated way of functioning. And that is important for marketers to understand. So number one, whether we should be online or offline, it's a strategic choice. Second, we need to understand the consumer journey wherever we are, and accordingly have this connection between online, offline, and offline, online, what we call as showrooming or web rooming. And finally, see how we use the different tools available to connect this entire journey, understand the consumer journey, which eventually leads to sale. And sale is just one part, as Mr. Athawale said, the brand part is equally important. If I'm just selling a commoditized product, it's a very different way of playing the game. Versus if I'm into branding, I need to ensure that my brand identity, my brand image does not get diluted or get affected adversely. Okay, so this is what largely, Richie, I think is the answer to your question.
Sure. Thank you, sir. So now I would like to ask Rajesh Sinha, sir, because he has implemented a lot of digital marketplaces in his stint with BSc Agri Markets. So, sir, please share your experience on how you have done this and what is the importance of digital marketing there, and what all did you implement? What tools did you implement? Sir, you are on mute.
Yeah, thanks for inviting me, Richie. So first, let me correct my introduction. I am a director with Sahyadri Farms Post Harvest Care Limited. It's in horticulture sector, this is the largest agri-food company promoted by a FPO. Many of you might know that Sahyadri Farms is the largest food processor organization in the horticultural sector. Okay. Now, the challenge is, it's known as the FPO, not as a agri-food company. And I will leave you these facts. Okay. Prior to this, I was with BSc, where I led the founding team of BSc Agriculture Markets, which is the second agri spot exchange which is alive right now. It's within the fold of a stock exchange. My major experience that has been there is with NCDEX, where I was the NCDEX e-markets MD CEO. And we did a lot of pioneering work. If I look at the digital marketplaces that we executed, so one spectrum is NCDFI e-market, which is dairy, that would be known to many of us. So before us joining with NCDFI, NCDFI was not into digital space. So I will just connect the dots and then we'll talk about digital markets, digital marketing, and then what is the purpose and how we can really get to it. Okay. Other end was global first particulate matter emission trading, executed by people like Michael Greenstone, University of Chicago, and a host of others, from a coffee table idea to digital trading of particulate emissions. It's called caps and trade, which is more into carbon trading, again reducing pollution. The third strand we are talking about is electricity trade, which is a Power Exchange of India Limited or a gas trading. Let's go further different. Safal National Exchange, that's where the first piece, that was in 2006-7. So I would say I was the first guy, one of the first people, a part of the team, who did the first digital markets ever in FNB. That was a Safal National Exchange, a good experiment with NDDB and MCX. I was leading the MCX. So now let's come back. Now digital markets, some of the key pieces that we did. So NEML website. So first challenge we had was NCDEX e-markets. That's my major journey there. Was known as a spot exchange. Okay. Now remember, there was a big scam out there. That's NSCL. Okay. It killed a large entity like FT. Almost they were wiped out of the exchange space. We were the only surviving one. Reliance had to shut its Reliance Spot Exchange, which was with BSC. NMC, APMC did not take off. And remember, some of these were led by ex-IAS, civil servants, who were actually serving and they had taken a voluntary retirement to lead. NMC, APMC was one of them. So let me put some three profound pieces. I'm sorry if it's summarizing. But first, please understand that digital is no longer a choice. You have to be there. Anybody talking platforms as a differentiator, I'm saying your days are over. Platforms is no longer an innovation. Platform is again a necessary choice. Number two. Number three, digital markets and digital marketing are two different pieces. Digital is just one way of bringing people together. So if I just take you Amazon journey, I think that would be a better way to represent. It's a D2C thing. Not very long ago, when I was working with O&M, one question was often asked, how do you reach to the bedroom of a person in a household? The answer was simple. We are talking about 2000. The answer was TV, color TV to be better. So, we saw those pamphlet era, we had drama, then storytelling evolved into movies, theatrical release, and now you are looking at OTT. So it's a big way. So are we saying OTT is digital marketing or market what? So it's about reaching there, right? Now, then we move to newspapers, which was one of the most profound pieces to reach people's doorsteps. Then we move to cataloging. So what catalogs was there that has been put on a website? That's what your Amazon is all about. You have a catalog where things are put there and everything else is assorted around it. Now within that, then you took a value chain perspective and somebody is specializing only in payments. Someone like exchanges we talked about. If you looked at exchanges, they were the holy grail at some point in time. When we went there, we actually, what was embedded, Ashish was there, I think for a while we worked together. What was embedded in an exchange, which is essentially 4 pieces, we said, let it be integrated for spot markets. Now, the challenge in front of a spot market is it's not regulated. Nobody wants to touch it. you have to grow the business. So how did we create 124,000 crore was the turnover of NEML at one point in time, covering close to 8.4 million farmers. That was the throughput we were doing. Amount of money that flew through our system was close to 40,000 crores. It was huge. So was it digital? And we were rated amongst the best, we were the best website for 12 months by DataQuest. This is 2014 we are talking about. After that, we stopped the count. We were the first one to implement SMS-based marketing. Negative. Now, what were we doing? So we were into a B2B space. So you might have seen, not many of us may know, but creating a differentiation itself is a challenge. So if you look at Amul, Amul is Amul, it's umbrella branding. Now let's come back to the purpose. So if you are into a B2B space, which is what I have done quite a bit, I've been with a B2C only in the Fitole and now with Sayadri and earlier with some other companies. So the challenge in B2C is very different. And there also, if you say business to consumer, it's a different challenge than a D2C brand, which is direct to consumer. So Paytm, for example, is a D2C brand. They are directly dealing with the consumers. They are also into B2C space, not that they are leaving any space, but primarily they have to face a huge set of people, and that set of audience is very different. We talk about right now, it's a 50 million people in India who are, who have more discretionary spend. Less than 1% people earn more than 10 lakh. These are some of the oft-quoted figures right now. But the game to go to next 100 million. So this is the current talk is, how do we reach the next 100 million? The tools are very different. That's where you are seeing people like Nykaa and Professor Ashish talked about, Amazon trying to open offline stores. Because reaching next 100 million people is not same as reaching the first 50 million people who are not only tech-savvy, but they also transact digitally. Now, as things normalize, people have realized India is not like US in a way that there you have a market which is far away. In India, markets are anywhere below your doorsteps. You don't have to travel more than 50 meters away. So when you are looking at that, so what did we use for it? Anyone of you wants to know? We said we will use it for thought leadership. Because our audience was government of India. Our audience was a set of people who were looking us with a lens that if this political dispensation changes, will we survive? It's all about that. And we were able to do that through thought leadership. So digital marketing, when you are looking at, one has to look, much has been talked about what it is, so I will not delve into it. But think about it, how you want to use it. Link is to the purpose. So we used it, for example, to distinguish NEML from NCDEX, which is a future and derivative exchange. We had to talk what we are not for half an hour. In BSc, I was there for 2 years, of which 1 year went into Corona, and another year we just set up the founding team, got governments going. There also we were able to create a steel marketplace. So digital markets, when we are talking about, it means different things to different people. So if you are talking about a public service market, in my view, it's a public service. That's how markets are there. So if you're establishing a market, you're agnostic to buyers and sellers. For example, I keep giving this example of eChopal. In its starting days, I think a short while ago, a couple of years ago, they changed becoming a market, but they used to be a buyer's buying panel. So it was more a buyer's reaching unit. You can sell it only to ITC, whatever else you talk about. So it's in a way, it's anchor. It's anchor market. It's not a market per se. When you say marketplace, it's a very different piece we are talking about. And suiting the purpose, there could be multiple marketplaces. And all of us are right in our own definitions and the purpose for which we really do. Now, digital marketing, when you are talking about whether you want to go with SEO, whether you want to go with influencers. For example, right now, SEBI came up with a separate circular just to say how to use financial influencers. There would be barriers. If you are approaching people digitally now, that's being taken in digital markets. So any of these wealth managers, if they have to go into a financial sector and they have to reach out to customers, they have to put disclaimers time and again, and you have to be there. So, there is digital markets now also coming under regulations. So now when you are looking at digital marketing, please be very, very careful about the regulations that regulators put, be it IRDA, which is Insurance Regulatory Development Authority, be it WDRA, which is in the warehousing space, be it SEBI, be it anybody else. So if you have to look at, let's look at what is your purpose. For example, NEML used it for creating a distinct brand name than NCDEX, and we were successful in creating NEM. Okay, we went through various name changes and now it has stuck. Okay, we went through all the processes that one goes through, hiring expert and then going through branding, rebranding, logo and all that stuff. We created a good website and then you went through creating a blog, being present in the social media and all that. Okay. Now that's the way to look at thought leadership. So we created national marketplaces. For example, REMS, which was a statewide market, it was adopted by Government of India as National Agriculture Market. But this cannot come into the narrative because it's Government of India. None of us can go ahead in the media and talk about it. So we created something called under the radar, but thought leadership. If anybody even today talks about it, we are a phone call away and they can talk about it. Okay. If you want to do a D2C brand, for example, Nykaa is the current example, which is actually going through. A significant chunk of their sales are now coming through offline markets. Largely because if you want to reach the next 100 million or even 50 million in that space, all this, so you have to be near the customer. So digital marketing is just a tool like Ashish Athawale talked about. It could be a topping, I would say icing on the cake. It can't be the cake itself. And one of the key pieces that we always talked about, and all of us must remember it, is that if you are going to be in a digital marketplace, you reach all over the place. Earlier it was said, before you make an announcement, have your channel ready. So if you want to launch a product, you can't be just announcing it. There has to be a proper preparedness, because if you are not able to make it available, the other people will take away the market, your market space. Patanjali, for example, created a huge market for aloe vera and amla. In fact, amla was a 900 crore brand at one point in time. Even today it might be. But they lost out in the space for aloe vera juice because many other people came with better brands. And if it's not available, it's not available. We all face this. Brands like Amul, we know in summers they don't produce enough of processed dairy products. Even at the cost of losing a market share, the social commitment is true. Because we are there to serve the needs of people on the milk tank. I'm not expert from that side, but definitely link your digital marketing with the purpose that you want to achieve and be ready in your organization. Okay. The last piece I would like to talk about is, today it's not an era that you have to do everything. Stick to the book. There are people like Ashish Athawale. There are people like we have one more Mr. Rajat Iyer and a host of others who are in this space. Go to the experts. Don't spend too much time trying to do things yourself. Focus on your domain and the core what you want. Go through your objective. Go through your strategy execution. Within that, digital marketing has space in terms of reaching out to the consumers. Do that. Someone at Paytm would have a very different thing, and I'm really excited to hear more from Damini. She's the youngest of the lot. I'm sure she is one of the best brands also, and I will stop there and just give it back to Richi. I would love to hear more from her. Yeah.
Okay.
Thank you.
Thank you, Rajesh sir. And yes, we all are looking forward to hearing from Damini now. Damini, Paytm Games, how did it happen? What all do you do there? Tell us.
Thank you so much, ma'am, and thank you so much, sir. It's a tough panel to follow. I've had the fortune of being, I think it was the first batch that Professor Ashish Arghade taught as well. So EBDM was my class. I may not have been the most remarkable student there, but now in my work, the case studies that we had, in particular with TripAdvisor and how user feedback and how to incorporate those things in making digital strategies, they definitely play a very important role in what I do day to day. So I've been a part of the real money gaming and mobile gaming industry for the past 3 years. And it's a pretty interesting industry. I, much like most of the IRMAns, I did start my career in the social impact sector, but post-COVID, just serendipitously ended up being in gaming, and that has been so far my journey. So I really like RMG as a sector, keeping aside the ethical bit of it. due to the following reasons. It's a super competitive industry, as you would see, for example, since the past 1.5 months, IPL has been on, so a new global launch new product, ClickPay. So whenever some new things like that keep on coming into the market, so for us as marketers, acquisition costs and things like that, they are driven up accordingly. Then second bit, which makes it really interesting and also slightly difficult, is the fact that there's a lot of skill-based gaming being a state subject. There are a lot of regulatory changes that keep on coming. And for example, a couple of weeks ago, the state of Tamil Nadu banned all real money gaming applications. Now, these decisions obviously are motivated by a lot of factors. I am not the right person to comment on that. But that makes it all the more interesting. Third thing is that there's the cost of acquisition, in particular due to the fact that in the past 2-3 years, there's been a high influx of VC fund capital coming onto India, has been extremely high. Due to the nature of this industry and the number of choices that a user has, the attrition, the churning out rate is also incredibly high. So the onus on recovering that CAC is extremely, when I say CAC, it means customer acquisition cost, it becomes extremely important, and it's a topic of utmost priority for us. The third thing, touching on to the CAC, is the fact that we have a really high focus on recovering the lifetime value, recovering the CAC from the customer as quickly as possible. Now, when we talk about marketing, in digital marketing in particular, more often than not, most of the focus goes on to acquisition bit of the equation. Now, while even for most of the startups, this was true until the end of 2022. But because of the macroeconomic changes that have happened, in particular, changes with VC funding getting pulled out from India and that money going back to America, what has happened is that startups and in general, even seasoned players in this industry, such as Dream11, Quinzo and things like that, they have started allocating more focus onto the retention bit of the equation. Earlier, let's say the proportion was 80% of the focus was going on to acquisition, 20% was going on to retention. That shift has now become, let's say, 40% to acquisition and 60% to retention as a bit. When it comes to selecting an acquisition channel, currently I am at the journey where I have not reached out to the 50 million users. So my primary channels of acquisition are still digital. But after listening to the panel, I'm also trying to understand that as and when I'll reach that journey, that beyond 50 million, what to do, need to get into the offline sources of acquisition as well. But while making a decision with regards to what channel will work better, there's a small framework which I try to stick to, although in practice, we end up steering away from these things. But all in all, I try to stick on to this ICE framework, which is essentially impact, cost, and effort that will take for me to build a channel and grow a channel. Again, one more thing in RMG, which is slightly more interesting, is the fact that the usual suspects, Google and Facebook, do not allow you to advertise directly. There are ways to circumvent that. There are ways to go beyond that and still use those channels. A lot of companies still inadvertently use these means of reaching out to users. We need to still, because we need to still build out a lot of other channels, like Professor Ashish Arghade mentioned as well. So there's a high focus on building out affiliate channels, influencer marketing channels, and also channels such as, for example, if I look at my user archetype, my user typically ends up using Paytm or PhonePe as a product to facilitate daily payments. So I also end up using Paytm and PhonePe as a means of advertising, as a means of reaching out to them and getting them to download my application. In addition to that, there are quite a lot of other channels as well, which is because the users are again tier 3, tier 4, in tier 4 markets, most of them do have Chinese phones. So we end up using OEMs also as an advertising channel. Again, the same framework of ICE, I try to implement as much as possible in this entire charade. But majority of my work centers around ensuring that how do I get retention out of the users? How do I end up actually recovering that acquisition cost that I've incurred onto these users? Just for some reference point, in general, with this industry, our goal is to ensure that within 6 to 12 months time period, the CAC should be acquired. In general, the CAC for the sector remains at 400 rupees per user. So that's the story of that bit. For retention, there are two small parts to, not too small, I'll try to keep this discussion short because I want to hear what other panelists have to say. But there are two main parts to it. First is product, and second is growth-driven revenue growth. So when it comes to product, at the end of the day, you may get 100 million users, but if the core value proposition that the product has to provide is not fulfilled, then you will end up losing those users. So there's a core, it's extremely important to ensure that there's this product market fit for your users at the end of the day. And a small example I would like to point out on this is there's this application called as Lichess, which is used all across the world for playing chess and has extremely high penetration in India. With Lichess, if you see the application, if you see the website, it's a fairly simple interface, doesn't have anything fancy. But when you end up playing the game on it, there's another alternate to Lichess, which is chess.com. But let's say I am a user in tier 4 city and I'm using 3G. For me, my game experience of my pawns getting moved, the latency, the speed at which my the pawns will move on my chessboard will be very different when I play on chess.com versus when I play on Lichess. UI-wise, everything-wise, chess.com may be infinitely better. But Lichess has an extremely high market share in India due to the fact that the core proposition of the game actually happening, the smooth gaming experience is fulfilled by it. And so that makes it more accessible, that makes it better for users. While it's good to have that, okay, the product needs to be improved, but when it comes to actually executing these things, there will be always some problems with the product. And there are multiple stakeholders involved when you want to make a change into the product. There'll be product managers, there'll be project managers, there'll be back-end teams, front-end teams. So there's a lot of back and forth which happens, and the development cycles are definitely longer in this. So to make a product change, you may end up taking a lot of time. So to supplant the growth in that meantime, because unfortunately you cannot say that growth did not happen because the product is not good. So as marketers or as I'd say growth marketers, what we end up doing is that try to gamify the application a little bit more for the users. Although it's a game at the end of the day, but still, when I talk about gamification, for those of us who have been playing games since we were kids, you would have definitely encountered certain gamification features throughout your life. But just to touch upon it, we try to example, if anyone has used Discord as an application, now Discord is an app. It's a social, I would say, like WhatsApp, the social community. Every gamer will have a Discord account. So the sole purpose, how that product got developed was the fact that it provided gamers who were playing, let's say I'm playing League of Legends and I want to talk to the people that I'm playing with. So that product gave that social interconnectedness, and that's why it grew. Fourth thing that we end up using is personalization, while that can come onto two ways. A, when I'm on the application, the tasks, the interface that I see has to account for the fact that I have done the XYZ things on the application. Isliye mujhe ye sab dikh raha hai. And the fourth thing is sending out personalized push notifications to make sure that your user feels that there's this personal touch in how you're talking to them. You're not just sending them some generic stuff because you're anyways bombarded by notifications day in and day out. And the last thing is you need to have an impeccable after-sales service, and that really makes or break your product because your user needs to feel good about using it. So I guess, yeah, that's, I would say, about it.
Okay,
Feel
thanks. Thanks, Damini. That was
Yeah.
pretty elaborate on how the gaming works. In fact, rather than taking any more time on other things, I would open the floor for questions, because I think you all are at a very advanced level. The audience might have some very basic questions also. So I would like to request everyone to ask whatever doubts you have or queries you have about digital marketing. Please go ahead. Yeah. Please go ahead, Ganesh.
Yeah. Hi everyone. It's a great panel to listen all the things. So my question with Rajesh sir. Rajesh sir, you are with Agri Farms FPOs basically. So I would like to know and understand how and FPOs in current era of ONDC and your rich experience in this commerce background, in digital commerce background. How and what way they are going more and more in marketplace. And as a bank, I work in AU Small Finance Bank in Agri. So how a bank can their own journey of FPOs.
भूख लगी है सुबह से कुछ नहीं खाया
Bindu, please, can you mute yourself?
Am I audible properly, sir?
Yeah, yes. I got some of it. I think there was some disturbance.
Someone have to go over what you asked.
So your experience, sir, regarding FPOs, as well as how and what were the FPOs is coming in new era of this ONDC. Could you please focus on this particular point?
So let me try to encapsulate it as quick as I can. So first, let's understand ONDC. ONDC is essentially a protocol. It's not a digital platform like Amazon or anybody else. So what ONDC does, at one end, you have a seller's ecosystem as a protocol. So ONDC has a set of protocols for sellers to be associated with them. At the other end, they have a buyer's piece. So there is a protocol for buyers. Then there is a protocol for assorted services. For example, Paytm is part of ONDC for the payments ecosystem. So are quite a few other payment apps. Amazon as a seller entity, and it's not only that Amazon can only be there. To that extent, AU Small Finance Bank wants to be there and wants to pitch themselves as an intermediary finance entity. Okay, they have a choice to tie up with any of these ecosystem partners or empanel themselves with ONDC. The only crux there would be, you will have to then accept ONDC, and see, ONDC is quite early in its stage as we speak. It just went from 1,000 to 20,000 customers. It's pretty exciting. What it did, one of the things that they did was, it said that they would possibly kill the restaurant apps. And there are challenges to that. For example, when you order something from a Swiggy or a Zomato, the cost which you will get for the same dish from the same restaurant ONDC is going to be 25 to 50% cheaper, because Dunjo is going to deliver it. So what is the challenge for a consumer? They have to pick a delivery. So you have a choice of a delivery partner. So ONDC in a way is doing what an electronic spot market would have ideally liked to. Okay. So first is, in the era of ONDC, it's a protocol. Now, whether it's Sahyadri or anybody else, if they want to be part of ONDC, they want to participate in it, they need to be part of ONDC network. It's run by a trust, ONDC trust, where many people have actually invested, including BSC Investments, HDFC, and a lot of banks and all. So, Sahyadri Farms Post Harvest Care Limited is an entity similar to Amul, I would say. Hence, Vilas Shinde, who is the founder, we know each other for quite some time. He has been inspired by what Safal tried to do. But solution doesn't lie only in a B2B market. So Sahyadri is also a largest grape exporter. They are today also the largest tomato ketchup manufacturers for Unilever. deliver, and quite a few other things there. These are all in public domain, which I can share, and I'm sharing. Okay. Now, how can a FPO be part of it? The challenge when you want to be part of, and other piece of ONDC is if you're part of sellers network, you can see the buyer. So a restaurant owner does not get to see the buyer's name when it's done through Swiggy or Zomato, but in ONDC you are able to see it. So these are advantages. So what is the challenge? They don't have a customer service center. So if deliveries are delayed and also these are the pieces that's still under evolution. Now specific to AU Small Finance Bank or any of our other IRMANs who really want to take benefit from ONDC, be part of one of their networks, register with them, understand their protocol, and be ready with your service. So as if AU Small Finance Bank, you want to focus on certain segments, if FPO is a euphemism for farmer aggregation. Is a broad term. FPO is not only farmer producer company, which is generally understood. A study by NABARD, which we had incorporated way back in 2014-15, before we went to make FPCs as a key entity, was that FPO is very broad. It's a farmer aggregation, farmer producer. So all the cooperatives are also FPOs to that extent. So you hitch on to them where you want to be. Whether you want to be in the space of car finance, then be part of that entity where ONDC wants to sell them. So my honest piece, whatever little I know about finance space would be, observe it very closely, attach yourself with one of these entities in the value chain who are attached to ONDC, learn it, and as ONDC evolves in near future, it's going to explode. But it's still pretty early in its journey, and they are correcting things. They are doing right things as they follow. Okay, that's it. Thank you.
Okay. So we have a question from Sandeep Yadav. He says, we are a small company, Kaushiki milk producer company, and Saharsa Bihar, having presence in 4 districts and having 2 products. What can we do for promoting our product in net space? Professor Ashish, would you like to share some thoughts on this?
Promoting the product on the net space is, the easiest thing is to have a website and go ahead with that, or use any of the social media platforms. But more important is the approach that is going to be adopted here. Number one, will certainly use internet only for promoting the products? And by promoting the products, is it about developing the brand as well, or only in terms of creating a wider reach in terms of awareness of the product? So once these are addressed, then we can continue or go ahead with how to actually promote it. Promote is again a very broad term. So Sandeep, if you can clarify what exactly you want to achieve, then perhaps I can give a better answer. Otherwise, the easiest thing is, even there are ways and means of not even having a website, just using social media, you can actually promote your product. Yeah, you have a turnover of 100 crores. So if you have a website, then one thing, do you use this website for commerce? That is, can customers place orders there?
I don't think so.
No. So if that is not possible, one thing is, so right now it's the same. In the sense, you need to first decide for yourself as to what exactly you want to achieve by promoting on the internet. Is it only about creating awareness? In which case, your website should be one of the points. Now, how do customers reach your website? That depends. That is, so the entire SEO thing comes in. Next is whether you want to start selling through your website, which is where the search engine marketing comes. Third is social media, but I would not really talk about social media except for sometimes maybe using some local influencers or whoever you think is within your catchment area. So for just identify what exactly you want to achieve out of that, accordingly, perhaps you can develop the website further, make it more optimized such that there are more visitors, there's more traffic to the website. And once traffic improves, then it can either lead to number one sales or for the long-term brand development.
Okay. We have a question.
Can I add something to
yes,
this?
Sir, yes, sir, please.
I think we are again jumping the gun. We are getting into the execution. We are getting into the mechanics of it. I mean, if you're selling a product hopefully has a differentiator, but milk being milk, what does that milk mean to a person in your catchment? I'm assuming that your catchment will have existing brands. What is the reason that you're giving to the consumer? So again, look at a consumer buying behavior. Look at where the digital marketing or internet access or e-commerce, whatever you call it, fits into his or her scheme of things first. Don't just get into digital marketing because digital marketing seems to be the only way to do it. Milk being a category which is close to any family's heart for a variety of reasons. Understand the consumer buying behavior. Like I said, again, look at where does digital fit in. You need to have trust in the brand. You can't, milk is not just another whatever soft drink or something which you can just buy on impulse. So my suggestion is just take a step back, take a deep breath and understand the basic marketing dynamics first and see whether digital marketing fits in, and then like Professor Ashish mentioned about various things, see which one of them and how much of it can be of use to you.
Makes sense. We have Bindu. Bindu, would you like to share your question?
Yeah, first of all, very sorry for that samosa thing. The another thing was we want to understand there are two very new technologies. One is generative AI. The another one is the rise of AR and VR. And this is the domain that I work on. How will that impact the brand management? And also that brand is a quite huge as a cost, like brand laddering takes place. So when we start small, how are we able to like promote those things and get bang for the buck? Like what is that come? Where does that ROI perspective comes into picture? Was I audible?
Yeah. Sir, Professor Ashish or Ashish, sir, would you like to answer?
Since it's related to the brand, I think Mr. Athawale will be more appropriate.
Sorry, I'm going to disappoint you. I'm going to say the same things which I mentioned earlier. ChatGPT again is a new development. What is your brand? Who is your customer? What is your product category? Who is your competition? How do they buy? When do they buy? Where do they buy? I mean, these are the basic fundamentals of any business and marketing. Understand these and then see where is the gap. Can ChatGPT fulfill your gap? Can it help with your product visibility? If your product is not visible, no amount of ChatGPT or AI will help you ever in selling any product, whether it is online visibility or offline visibility. So again, I'm gonna be this pain in the neck of telling you the same thing again and again because I have been through this rut, if I may say, with all my clients, and this is the level of discussion which unfortunately I haven't progressed much beyond this with anybody. So Bindu, I'm sorry I missed your samosa. I'm very badly missing that, but point is, understand again 4 C's. At least advertising, the 4 C's are category, competition, customer, and creative, which is the content, right? Understand these basic building blocks first and see where is the need gap or how can you create a need gap if there is no existing need gap.
Absolutely, Ashish sir. I think you are bringing a very vital point here because even I have discussed with multiple clients and the first thing they talk is हमें SEO करना है. More than anything else, they begin by saying कि हमको मतलब ना हमको presence चाहिए online, ना हमको website ठीक करनी है, ना हमको कुछ और करना है, पहले SEO कर दो हमारा. But क्या objective है वो पता नहीं है, कि SEO क्या होता है वो भी पता नहीं है.
आप पहले अपने brand को समझो. Again, I'm being a bit dismissive about it, but again, being in tech capital Bengaluru, I've seen multiple of these extremely talented guys who are so good with their product, but unfortunately, what we call it as customer centricity, what we call it as looking at things from an end customer point of view. You are fabulous with your products. You are fabulous. Have you seen how the customer uses it, or how will you want him or her to use it? Because that is where lies the gold. Rest of it all are simple enough executions. Like I've heard many people on this forum say, I mean, अगर आपकी जरूरत नहीं है तो don't look at a digital first or an SEO first. First understand your customer. अगर आपको वेबसाइट्स के जरिए आपको बेचना है तो जरूर आपकी वेबसाइट बहुत अच्छी होनी चाहिए, आपका SEO बहुत अच्छा होना चाहिए. बट अगर आप वहीं पे एक शहर के अंदर बेच रहे हो, just make sure for heaven's sake your brand is visible first. Gain trust from the people because SEO unfortunately is not going to get you trust. It will get you transaction, but the transaction will follow the other T, which is the trust. There.
Right.
Just one more question, Ashish.
Yeah.
The brand per se takes a lot of cost, and startup as a generally we are tend to become frugal because so where like what are the most nifty techniques in order to establish do something?
Sorry.
Yeah.
बच्चा पैदा करने के लिए 9 महीने लगाने ही पड़ेंगे आपको. I mean, there is no other way. You need to first think brand. You need to first make sure that your brand, first, you need to be clear about it. What is your differentiator? Like for me, the way to explain things, anything which is simple, sensible, surprising, and scalable. These are the 4 S's about your brand. If you think you have cracked it, articulate. आप एक मेरी तरफ से एक एक्सरसाइज करना अभी तो नहीं शायद, लेकिन बाद में maximum 10 words, okay, just in one line, try and write who are you as a brand and how are you different. Make sure that it is 10. It is good enough to write this in 2 pages or 3 pages, but 10 शब्दों का एक वाक्य आप बना के देखो कि what are you and how are you making a difference to your consumer's life. I think cost बाद में आता है, आता जरूर है और आएगा. There is no way shortcut. There is no way to do a shortcut about it. Okay, either आपका प्रोडक्ट इतना ज्यादा डिफरेंशिएटेड है कि लोग खाली सुने और उसके लिए फिर आप डिजिटल कर सकते हो. आप व्हाट्सएप पे मैसेजेस भेज दो अगर आपका प्रोडक्ट इतना अलग है कि आप व्हाट्सएप पे मैसेज भेज दो और लिंक भेज दो कि भैया ये मेरा ऐप है, ट्रस्ट मी, आपके पास यूजर वैसे ही आ जाएंगे. बट अनफॉर्चुनेटली इतना अलग प्रोडक्ट बहुत कम लोगों का होता है आजकल, बहुत कम लोगों का होता है. तो वो आप avoid कर नहीं सकते. I don't think this forum is right forum for me to give you the details here how to go about it, but you be ready for a long haul, be ready for a costly haul if you may. In terms of cost is always relative to आपका क्या objective है, आपका क्या catchment है, आपका क्या vision है, most important, आपका क्या vision है. In that context आपको brand देखना ही पड़ेगा, उसके बाद ये सारी चीजें आएंगी.
सर मान लीजिए हमने ब्रांड की बात कर ली है, वी हैव थॉट अबाउट द ब्रांड एंड ऑल, नाउ आई वांट टू काइंड ऑफ प्रमोट इट अमंगस्ट you know the community or general public. So what about paid marketing?
Like I said, आपका एक तो ब्रांड, क्योंकि देखिए सबसे बड़ी बात है ना ये आपने जो कह दिया बड़ी आराम से ना, वो ऐसा नहीं होता. ब्रांड हमने सोच लिया, ऐसा नहीं होता. ब्रांड सोच लिया हमने. Brand actually अगर हम देखें ना, I'm giving you a very weird parallel, but that's the best parallel that I can think of. Your business is like a body. ये हम सबकी बॉडी होती रहे, 2 हाथ 2 कान 2 नाक, सबका. businesses are same, products are same, benefits are same, payoffs are same. Milk is a milk. What is different? What is different? Different is your soul. Different is your thinking, which makes you move your hand in a particular way, which makes you talk in a particular way, and that is what the brand does. It is a way to do things, and that is what is your differentiator. उसमें फिर आप आपका पेड सर्च देखिए, फिर उसमें आप अपना पेड प्रमोशन देखिए, आपके ऑब्जेक्टिव क्या है. अगर आपका वीसी फंडेड है और वीसी कहता है भैया मेरे को तो कम से कम 50 करोड़ लोग अगले 6 महीने के अंदर आने ही है, पैसे मांगो, पैसे उड़ाओ, make your brand visible, like what Cred is doing. Cred is a wonderful example of how to make visibility. मुझे आज तक, जब तक उन्होंने अभी तक अपना ये पेमेंट शुरू नहीं किया था, and now there are some kind of a payment gateway or Paytm equivalent, मुझे frankly पता नहीं था कि Cred करता क्या है. मुझे उनके ऐड बहुत अच्छे लगते थे. राहुल द्रविड़ इंदिरा नगर का गुंडा उन्होंने किया, बहुत अच्छा लगा, हमने बहुत सारी बातें की, लोगों ने भाव लिखे, बट उनका धंधा क्या था मुझे समझ में नहीं आया. But maybe that's what the mandate of their VCs was कि भैया मेरे को तो इतने लोग चाहिए, वो उन्होंने ले आया इंदिरा नगर का गुंडा बना के. तो जब तक आपका बिजनेस, आपका पर्पस लोगों को समझेगा नहीं, आप you are not on a strong wicket. I'll give you one example of a US brand called Patagonia. Patagonia, if people know, it is probably the best branded case study. Yes, it is an old brand, so don't look at it as a reference point कि Patagonia ने क्या किया मैं भी वही करूँगा, but it is probably the truest green D2C brand, which is into fashion, which is into accessories, but they do everything in the strictest of the green way. And it is well documented. Even unka jo 50% off ka promo rehta hai, that promo has a green built into it. Now that's what Patagonia has done. Patagonia may not be Amazon. Patagonia may not be the talk of the town of investors and things like that. But Patagonia is small, but Patagonia is very strong. I think what Damini mentioned about acquisition and retention, everything, Patagonia is a case study, because people who buy into Patagonia remain with Patagonia. Because differentiation unki kya kahun, soul mein hai, unke DNA mein hai Patagonia, because it is green. I can give you most of the examples which are from old traditional D2C world. I'm not into tech, I'm not into B2B, so I won't be able to give you an example. So the point I'm making is कि आपके brand को इतना differentiated बनाओ कि उसके बाद paid unpaid आपको शायद किसी चीज की जरूरत ना पड़े. And world is replete with examples in a homogeneous world where everything is equal to everybody else, like milk is a milk is a milk. There could be differentiation which can be made at the thought level. उसके बाद आप implementation में लाइए, SKU लाइए, उस हिसाब से आपका पैकेजिंग बदलिए, उस हिसाब से आपकी brand identity, आपके colors बदलिए, but those are all implementation. Your thought, your soul has to be pure and differentiated.
Okay, I think Professor Balaji has some LKG level question. We would like to hear that.
Thanks for letting me ask the question. It's wonderful to be learning from the people who I think I taught. Very nice. I think I was being somewhat pompous in saying LKG level. I think it is maybe pre-LKG level. The question I have is, when we say digital marketing, is it marketing through use of information and communication technologies? Is that what it is?
Yeah, using digital channels which are internet backed.
What does the digital mean?
What does the digital mean?
That word digital means what?
Rajesh, technical answer.
Professor Ashish will be able to give us some more.
Technical answer.
Online. Sir, digital means being online.
That is ICT, use of ICT.
No, digital is much broader.
No, digital is electronic. In short, you say, for example, we always had in NEML, are we digital, are we B2B online market? Now, customers like NCDEX market, they say no, it's a digital marketplace for us, because for everything else is offline. So I would more say it's more a matter of how you look at it. Definitely it's ICT, but you have to through electronic medium. Electronic medium is all that at this point.
See, all these cold calls which keep coming, who says, do you want this credit card?
But these are BPOs.
Is it?
BPOs, the best example is Bajaj Finance. Best example is Bajaj Finance. They, even today, in this age and era, their 40% sales comes through cold calling. They have mastered it.
Wait. That's not the question is that also digital marketing? They are using ICT.
In a way, yes, because their databases are sourced. If their databases are sourced through digital mediums of the contact details that you have provided, in a way they are digital marketing supported or digital technology supported.
Okay. My second question, if I may ask.
Yes, sir.
Whatever I've heard so far seems to be in the space of marketing products. Maybe except gaming. I don't know whether gaming is to be called product or service. Any experience of digital marketing of services?
Sir, NEML was fully services. It's an e-auction marketplace.
Correct.
There is no product per se there. You can put any product there. So I talked about, service.
That is fine. NEML provided services. I know that. But what you are providing services is for products, right? Physical touch and feel products.
Sir, in a way, in a very broad way, if you say services are also part of the product portfolio. If you take a very, very broad piece. Because, for example, let's say I have been, privileged to participate in your what you call it, making a incredible that training course that you give, causing incredible performance, CIP. Okay, it's a training is a service, but if I have to put it broadly, it's a product that you are selling.
Okay.
In a very broad way. So if we have to define what is a product, so we can then go into whether it's a commoditized product. For example, when we wanted to do selling or buying of a commodity like tur dal or edible oil, it was a different way of doing it. But the same platform could also sell electricity. We could do that. But if we had to buy a ghee, there were 4 people. If you have to do packaging, there are only 5 people who are going to do it. So in a way, while the product is a platform that we are talking about, it's a different world, and depending upon what you are selling, things may vary. In my opinion, I would say whatever you call it, it's essentially a product. You may be part of a services industry. Gaming is a product. There are very clear categorization in terms of age group, in terms of being, whom it is targeted, how it is being used, defense being the ultimate from where it comes around, and then bringing down to the young age people, hooking them on early and all. So I would say in a broad range, we are all selling products in that sense. Whether we are part of a services industry or a commoditized industry or a brand piece is a different thing. So I think that's what I would say.
Thank you.
And is there any kind of budget, Damini? What do you do? Paid marketing? What kind of budgets do you use?
So the decision with regards to what is the overall budget that needs to be allocated, that's a strategic decision that comes from the top. But generally, the trend that I've seen is that from the net revenue that we're able to make, about 10% of that currently is being allocated to all sort of paid marketing.
10%. It's too much.
10%. It's extremely high.
But you have more like a digital product. So yes, entirely onto digital, is it? Or do you have some other?
The only source of getting users currently is digital. Offline penetration.
But these days they do a lot of hoardings and all other sorts of marketing as well.
Yes, so I would say with offline and below the line activities, they are primarily done more by Paytm, the 197 entity with regards to UPI payments. But with regards to First Games as an entity, wherein the product which we are selling to users is the gaming app that is there. Currently, the only source of acquisition are these digital channels which are available in the market. 10% definitely is a much more steep number. But in general, so prior to entering gaming, I was also working as a freelancer for a couple of clients because I needed to learn how this thing works. So in general, what I've seen is that in a non-VC funded setup, the allocation is more or less 5 to 7% of the revenue that they're generating with the paid marketing versus revenue allocation is done like that. But because Paytm has, I would say, definitely deeper pockets. So 10-12% is the current allocation.
So Damini, are we talking gross revenue numbers here or are we talking net revenue?
Gross revenues.
Gross revenue. Wow. So it's extremely important. So
yes, it's.
Okay, so I think a lot of participants also would like to know more in detail. If let's say Professor Ashish, I would like to ask this question to you. If I have a product or a service, and now I want to begin, how should I begin with my digital initiatives and presence? And should I kind of jump directly into paid, or what should I do? Can you give us some kind of a basic plan? How should we go about it?
Okay, since you're talking about the basic plan, I would say it starts with the objective. What is it that I want to achieve through the digital channel or the digital medium?
Get more business. That's the ultimate objective.
So the business itself, as I said, it's not that the customer sees something online and makes a transaction. The customer sees, so we normally call it, it's again a typical funnel. So you have the awareness, and it's typically seen that if you reach 100 customers, maybe even if at all of a conversion rate of 5%, that's huge. When it comes to social media, it's less than 1% of the total customers who would come to your page. Less than 1% convert into actual transactions or sale. So the conversion rate is very low, which means for one conversion to happen, I need to have more than 100. Even if I assume 1% conversion, I need at least 100 people to come to my website. So first, I need to have that traffic. So I need to set my objectives at different levels. Initially, what is it that I want to achieve? Is it awareness? Is it an actual transaction? For example, let me take just again an anecdote. This is about a company which is into pet feed. Now, despite being in pet feed and a well-known brand, the company says it's essential for them to have a presence on Amazon. Why? Because customers today, when they're looking for products, they do not go to Google, they go to Amazon. So the search behavior of customers itself has changed. So the question directly would come, if it's an established brand, a brand like say Raymond or any other brand for that matter, why should I be present on Amazon? It's because the customer journey for products particularly starts with Amazon or Flipkart and not from Google. So Amazon that has become a de facto Google when it comes to product searches. Now, if I'm trying to attract customers, so if I want to have more traffic to my website, I need to have that kind of information on the website, which is again optimization. Optimization is again expensive, high investment. Then presence on Amazon, such that if the customer searches for me on Amazon, I am among the top search results. Similarly, if the customer searches for me on Google. Now, again, here we classify customers into three types. We call them trackers, hunters, and explorers. There are customers who have no idea. They're just there online. They keep searching until they stumble across your page. I have no clarity as to what I'm searching, but I happen to come to your page. I like that and it registers in my mind. I do not make a transaction. The others are very vaguely aware about the product category. So I am looking for maybe buying just a random example, a toothpaste. I'm not really concerned about the brand. And then, but I'm sure that it's going to be a toothpaste. Then there is somebody who's clear about the brand. This is the brand I want to buy. Now, each of these three customer journeys are very different. And these three customers are at different levels in the funnel. The ones who have absolutely no idea are at the top, then at the middle, and finally at the bottom. Now, for each of these three customers, these sets of customers, the strategy is very different. For the explorer, it's something very generic. For someone who's already aware of different brands, I'm a part of the customer's choice set or the consideration set. I should become the choice. Now, what is this customer looking for? How does this customer approach? Somebody told me, it's like, I want to find a toothpaste for some dental problem. So I know that it's toothpaste and dental problem. How do I search for this? What are the keywords I use? So once I understand this, I have to use those keywords such that they link to my web page. Then comes the one who's already certain that, this is what I'm going to buy. Now here the customer has already made the brand decision. The only decision is perhaps number of units and the price. So if this customer comes to my website, what should be the customer's landing page? Should it directly go to the point where the price is listed and number of units that you want to buy? So it's a complicated journey, I would say, and therefore I need to set my objectives. If I'm a new brand, if I'm a relatively unknown brand, first I need to ensure that people are aware about me. So I need to have, my metric is not sale here when it comes to digital marketing. It's more about having traffic. So I have to see that many people through whatever random searches come to my website. So here my task is only about creating awareness. Then comes the next stage where I'm established as a brand. I'm a part of the consumer's consideration set. Now comes up the differentiation part, which Mr. Athawale was mentioning. What is it that you are as a brand to the customer? How do you make the customer's life easier, more convenient? What is it that you're offering which nobody else offers? That part should come subsequently. And finally, the transaction and post-transaction. What happens after the consumer purchases? That is where the delivery, logistics, other things matter. So when it comes to setting up, I'm a brand. I'm an unknown brand. My objective would be to ensure that customers generate sufficient awareness and interest in my product. So therefore, I need to bring the customer to my website or make sure others talk about my website. So to come to my website, one, I use search engine optimization. If I have sufficient money, I can also go for search engine marketing, or I can use affiliates. How do I make payment to affiliates? These are the standard tools that we use in digital marketing. Second, now how do I know what customers look for? That is where social media comes in. So when we talk of social media, the most important aspect is listening to customers. So if you post something on Instagram or whatever, what kind of comments come there? How many likes do you get? How many views do you get? The most important part is the conversation, because from the conversation, I understand what the consumer wants. Now, very often these conversations do not even happen on my account. So there would be a customer group who's interested in something like oral health, and there would be one page dedicated to oral. What are these customers talking about? Now that is where the pain points come out. So use that information. There are companies like Brandwatch who can help you in analyzing this information, and then you say, okay, these are the pain points of customers, or this is the language they speak. So social media marketing, normally we assume it's all about using Facebook. No, it's about making the brand social in not the conventional social way, but a part of the conversation, the dialogue which goes on among consumers. So that is where I use social media to actually understand what is the current trend, because these trends keep changing. Oral health today would be very different compared to what it was perhaps 2 years back. So that way, I need to set objectives. What is it that I want to achieve? Then I take a step.
So is there some kind of a ready reckoner or some kind of a process written down? A lot of IRMANs asked if you can get me some kind of a process that I can follow for my standard SOP or something.
Again, an SOP would be very broad, because people would be at different points in the product or in their own brand life cycle. But yeah, the consumer funnel stands. So where exactly I want. So normally when we talk of something at the top of the consumer funnel, I focus on SEO or SEM. At the lower level, then I focus on other things. That is, post purchase, I focus on social media, which is again about customer engagement or on reviews. I'll just see if I find some template, but again, a template doesn't really make a difference, because depending on where I am in the product life cycle or the brand life cycle, my requirements would be changing.
Can I add a bit?
Yes,
Richie, 1 second. I had mentioned to you I have to go. So I would like to thank everybody and thank you for inviting me. Thanks again.
Thank you, Ashish. It was very, very informative listening to you, and I think you brought about the right points, highlighted the right points.
My pleasure. I hope it was of some help. Thank you once again. All the best to you.
Thank you, sir.
Richie, can I add a
Yes,
bit
sir.
here?
Yes, sir. Please. Yes.
Yeah, see, as we go forward, it's important for us to understand, you will have to go deeper into an org, as an organization where you are. The question that's being asked, why there can't be a single SOP, obviously what Ashish said right now, Professor Ashish, it's absolutely everything is right and correct. But please understand where your organization, you have to go into your org behavior, your org life cycle. So if you look at Paytm today, they are into retaining their customer. One of us talked about, Bindu, how do I go and reach out? It's an organization which is still, kind of grappling with whether to kind of go further and acquire customer. So it's important that we understand at what stage our organization is in. Then link it to the purpose and then go further down into your strategy and strategy execution, whether you are going to cut the cost or whether you are going to increase the income, or you want to do both. And obviously, so I think this is important piece. Let's understand at which point in the life cycle of an organization our org is. Do add this as one of the metrics before when you take a decision.
Right. Can I ask Damini? There have been some questions around how do we reach out to the customers without spamming them, and how do we ensure that they read our message and look at it without reading, they don't delete it.
Interesting question. That's something that I also grapple with on a daily basis. Although there's no short way of ensuring that your customers read almost every message that you send them. But I think we need to, at the end of the day, put ourselves in our customers' shoes and understand that even for us, what is the acceptable level of hindrance, let's say, from a particular brand that we would allow. For example, right now, since WhatsApp has been linked with Facebook, brands have been using WhatsApp immensely to bombard us with a lot of promotional messages. So if I'm talking about, let's say, from a brand's perspective, the key thing that we need to do here is, firstly, for your particular category, you need to ensure that the frequency with which you are sending messages to your users, that try to keep it as a rule of thumb, try to keep it to at least once a week or or maybe bi-weekly, once a fortnight. And also, there has to be constant iteration or A/B testing done with regards to the kind of messages which are being sent, because repetitiveness leads to fatigue and users will not read the messages. If anyone here uses Dream 11, there is this very simple thing that they do, which I think has driven up their CTRs immensely for push notification. Push notification, just for context, is a medium where 0.7 till 1%, that's the maximum click-through rate that you can expect, no matter how unique the communication is or the value proposition is. So they have this IPL tune which is there, so that blasts at 7 p.m. whenever the lineups are out. So that definitely has created a niche, and from the people who are actually using the product, it may lead to a higher, tapping onto the thing. And it's also more relevant because it's not some random communication that XYZ has been triggered into your account, or not a spammy message. It's actually telling you, hey, lineups are out, make your team. So I feel like A, the communication has to be more relevant. B, the frequency needs to be needs to be capped. I would suggest for notifications, 2 a day, more than enough. For WhatsApp, once a week, I think that's more than enough. May not apply in the case of Bajaj Finance though, because for them, the bombardment is working well. I guess that helps because top of the mind, if you ever need money, you'll know that Bajaj Finance is there. But I think that's my personal experience. But this is something which varies from category to category, so difficult to pinpoint ki itna hi bhejo.
Yeah. Anyone else has questions? All right. So what I'll do is, since we are almost at 7:30, I think it is fair that we try to wrap up today. But I still have a couple of questions. Okay, Indrajit, we'll have this one from you, if the speakers are okay.
Yeah, how can we decrease the bounce rate?
I think a regular cleaning of the emails that are getting bounced, if it's email, or I presume it's, is it emails or SMS? I think the email, so let me just, if I present it.
Whether it's an email or an SMS you are talking about as a medium in terms of bounce.
Both.
Okay. So bounce is something that will happen, not stop it. But what needs to be done is that constantly the database that we are using, that needs to be refreshed. And so remove the IDs that are getting bounced, and B, preferably maybe look into the, if there has been a trend, let's say sudden increase into the bounce rate that is occurring, it may be due to the fact that perhaps the users have reported the sender as spam, or they've unsubscribed to the thing. So I would definitely suggest that perhaps look into the frequency of the communication, or maybe look into revamping the communication as well. Also, there's one thing I think it's a basic hygiene factor which we must follow, is that ask the users for permission before sending them messages. Take them to a pop-up or something, or send them an email where they tap on it, they open it, and then they say, yes, I'm okay with this sender sending me communication. Would definitely urge you to check out Morning Brew. They are an email-based newsletter. They have perfected this thing wonderfully well, and their bounce rates, I remember from a year ago, not bounce rates, sorry, their open rates were 70 to 80% in US. So then this is amazing, and the readers are mostly Gen Z and millennial folks. So low attention span, wali janta, but still, so I think it would be good to, there are a couple of podcasts as well. I'll search and share the link with you if that's okay. I think definitely check out what they did to ensure key bounces at 10 all time.
Okay.
I have not worked that much with email marketing because my users don't read emails. So it's primarily tier 3, tier 4 folks, they don't read emails. So I would not be able to give my personal example.
And if bounce rate is, just to add on this, if bounce rate is high on a website, then it has something to do with either with the content or the last mile of conversion, which is the transaction. So that needs to be addressed.
And maybe if the journey is too long, because if the user is hopping too many pages or something, then also half the way they will drop off.
Absolutely.
Okay. All right. So I'll take the honor to maybe call this evening to a close now, and would like to thank Ashish Athawale sir, Professor Ashish, and Rajesh Sinha sir, and Damini for being wonderful panelists today. I think it was a very, very interesting session. And maybe if some of us are curious to know more, can I redirect them to y'all if they ask for your numbers, so that they can get some more clarity if they have specific questions? Okay. So IAA is very happy to have this session with you all, and thank you all for joining in today. Thank you to the audience too for being a wonderful, lovely, quiet audience today. We didn't have much interaction with the audience today, but yeah, they've been there till the end, means that they are keen to know what's happening around. And I look forward to having you all once again, because this is a subject which is very vast, very broad. And in case there are specific, sometimes we can have a specific session, let's say an SEO session or a email session or something, because there are so many things in digital marketing. It's just beyond 1.5 hours. It cannot be covered. And especially Rajesh sir, because most of us are into commodities and products, and so your experience would definitely be very, very helpful to us. So we'll reach out to you again. Thank you everyone for being here, and IAA is very grateful for you all to be present and contribute. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you so much.